Hey, Sassy Stuff, what's up? We are back, the dynamic duo, Molly and Georgia, and we are talking all things preseason football because we are just, are we two? We're 2 weeks away, right? Or three?
15 days.
Yeah, we are 2 weeks away, people. How exciting is this? Today we are talking all things preseason. We are doing the AP polls. Those came out this week. We are so interested to hear what you guys think about this as well. But first, let's dive in with our number one spanking team coming out of the gate. We have the Texas Longhorns. Okay, this has made me no. Horns up, boys. This has made my week. I'm recovering from an illness, and let me tell you, when I saw this AP poll, I was like, well, duh. Obviously, they're going to be number one in the preseason polls. That can change. I'm fully aware of that. Okay. I'm fully aware. I'm not that delusional. However, I'm optimistic for this team. I think they've got a Manning team this year. I think Steve is on his game in these practices. I've been watching the clips. And also, the season opener is going to be the best revenge game we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely an amazing thing for Texas to be ranked number one for what I think the first time. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's the first time they've ever been ranked number one in the preseason. I do feel like this is a lot more hype than it is substance. We're gonna have to see. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around Arch Manning and what he's doing. Do I think that the hype is real? Yeah, I do. I do think that he's going to be a really good QB. I mean, I just think it's going to be a little bit difficult for Arch Manning to have a perfect season when all of these eyes are directly on him. I also have them dropping at least 2 games. One of those possibly being their opener game against Ohio State, the national champion from last year.
I think, I kind of feel bad for Manning because he's still a kid. Like, he's still really young. And I feel like there is so much pressure. Like, I was looking through the photos yesterday of one of their practices, and Matthew McConaughey had come to the practice, all right, all right, all right, like, talk to everybody. And I was seeing the photos of him and Manning together. And I was just thinking, like, man, this poor kid, like, there is so much pressure on this kid to, like, make a full team. And like you just said, he can't control everything on the field. And so, really, this is going to come down to Texas has a long, long history of choking in really tough moments. And so, this is where I, as a fan, can be very realistic and say, you might drop a game or two. But I do think this is going to be the best season they've had in a while. And I'm just so looking forward to the season opener, the first game. I think it is going to be such a good revenge game. I think we're looking at two brand new teams. Obviously, Ohio State's ranked number 3 in the AP polls, which I didn't really understand quite, which obviously it's preseason, whatever, just them being the reigning champion. I thought they would be at least number 2. I think everybody kind of secretly knew that Texas was going to be ranked number 1 in the preseason polls just because of the hype behind we've got Manning and a brand new team. But coming in at number 2 was really surprising to me was Penn State. This is the first time since 1997 that they've had such a high preseason ranking just behind Texas. And this is actually the first time since 1998 that they've been within a 5-point margin of Texas. So we are already in the preseason making history. Like we are already doing it. And I really think that this season of college football is going to be probably one of the most entertaining seasons that we've seen in a while.
Talking about chokers, obviously we have Penn State. They are the number one choking team, in my opinion. Of course, we have Drew Aller. He is coming into his, I believe, 3rd season at Penn State, so he's ready. He knows what to do, but it's just that I don't ever trust Penn State to win big games. I don't. Even if they do win a big game, I feel like it's always just some sort of luck that was thrown in there. This is great for Penn State to be ranked number 2. Do I think they're going to stay in the top 3? No, I don't, which is normal. It's normal to be ranked pretty high, and then, you have those that drop, and I think that Penn State is going to be one of those teams that drops really fast.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, like I was pretty mad at them last year because I did have them in my bracket, which was super dumb. Like I ended up losing money because of them, so I'm really not a Penn State fan. Um, but right behind them is Ohio State number three, which once again, I have no idea why Penn State is ranked above Ohio State. Like that doesn't really make any sense to me, just because that they're a national reigning champion. However, and maybe we're a little biased here on the Sussy Stuff show. In my opinion, I think these numbers are going to move around a lot, and I think these top five teams are going to be SEC teams. I genuinely, with my whole heart, see this being a huge, dominant SEC season, and the AP polls prove my theory. I've been saying this in every little catch up, like preseason catch up video that we've been making. The SEC leads all conferences with 10 teams in their preseason poll, the most ever in a preseason release. They are stacked, they are ready. Look at the transfer portal. Look at how many students from other divisions, other conferences are trying to get into the SEC. This is going to be a very heavy Southeastern Conference season. What are you thinking about that? Because I hope you're backing me on this.
I ride or die for the SEC. I don't care about nothing. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, baby, and the SEC. But I do think it's interesting. Texas is actually considered like an underdog in this week one. They're the first number one team, I think, to be an underdog. Um, but it's going to be really fun watching the Buckeyes because they aren't actually like they're not completely starting from scratch. They have their core defensive pieces coming back in. They still have Jeremiah Smith, who honestly might be the best wide receiver in the league. Um, but yeah, I do think with this top three, we only have that first team being SEC. But I agree. I think the top 10 is going to be ran by the SEC this season.
I
Um,
mean, if you just look at this, like Georgia is ranked at number five currently, Alabama's at number eight, LSU's at number nine, South Carolina's at 13, Florida's at 15, Texas A&M is at 19, Ole Miss is at 20 or 21, sorry, and Tennessee is at 24. And the best part about this is you've got schools like Iowa, Utah, and University of Southern California were all left unranked in this season. So when we are looking at this as like a national breakdown, yes, we are SEC heavy in this season, and I am here for it. This is our year.
yeah, and then we go into number 4, which is the Clemson Tigers, who get to face our LSU Tigers week 1. I'm excited for that game. One, because I think that obviously Nussmeier is one of the best QBs in the league right now. And I also think that Cade Klubnik has a very good chance at being the best QB by the end of the season. He's got the experience and he has amazing receivers. But do I think that this is a Clemson overhype? Yes, just like I kind of think that Texas is getting overhyped. I think that Clemson is as well. So I don't see Clemson staying in the top 5 for very long, and I see them taking an L to LSU for the first week.
What doesn't make sense to me is Clemson is top five, but then you've got Tennessee at 24 and Ole Miss at 21. Those schools to me, maybe once again, maybe I'm just a little biased. And I know Tennessee is kind of just like underwater, upside down, a lot of drama and like finding a quarterback. There's a lot that is unwritten for Tennessee, but I think that is to such an advantage for them to come in ranked at number 24. I think they're going to be in the top 10 in the first few weeks. That's just I maybe, whatever. I think it is to their advantage that people don't know quite yet what they're working with. And I think they're going to come out of the gate swinging, but it is still the wrong orange and the wrong UT at Morgan Wallen with this UT song. Anyways, we're obviously looking at like a huge high stakes season for everybody. I think anybody that's, planning on betting on any of these games is going to be it's a high stress season for those who are actually putting money on this. I'm not going to do that. It is a tight pull margin. It's suggesting a competitive season ahead, multiple contenders, all fighting for this top rank. And you obviously have things like Archmania, the hype behind Arch Manning. That is probably going to be just, it's going to be like the Taylor Swift of the NFL of last year. Like, it's probably, we're all going to get over it at some point. Like, we'll be a few games in and we'll be like, okay, we're like kind of tired of hearing about the Archmania. However, they have such a strong recruiting and transfer class, fueling just really high expectations for Texas. This just goes back into what I said earlier. They can't choke in such a high tense, high stress season and a high, like, it's so competitive this year. We're looking at, even just in the SEC, it's going to be such a tough year for these teams. And obviously, like, opening weekend is crazy to me. You've got Texas and Ohio State. That's the revenge game of the season. You've got LSU and Clemson. Makes no sense to me while we're playing these huge games. And then even Notre Dame and Miami.
It's going to be an amazing opening weekend. Also with just like the off-season drama that's been crazy. And who better to talk about off-season drama than to go on to the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs, who has had a crazy off-season. And I'm pretty sure I've watched some of them get arrested on my street outside my window. This is the racing street right here. I'm pretty sure I've watched a few of them. The Bulldogs have some questions: new quarterback, revamped offensive line, unproven edge rushers. The list goes on and on of all these things that are stacked against Georgia. But the thing that they do have is they get Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, Kentucky. I guess we'll throw them in there. They're all at home. And so that is to their advantage. And they got Kirby Smart. So, Georgia's ranked number 5, even though they have so many question marks in so many areas. Do I see that changing? I don't know yet. I think that Georgia is just going to be dominant. We're in an era where Georgia's going to continue to be dominant until something changes.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be the year that there's that big shift. I think that Kirby Smart's going to be able to do what Kirby Smart does. I don't see Georgia winning the SEC championship this year, but I do see them getting into the college football playoffs.
Wait, who do you think is going to win the SEC championship? Just out of curiosity.
Alabama or LSU?
I'm going to say it's going to be Texas or Florida. I think we've got DJ Lagway. I think that's such a good, I don't know. We'll just have to see. That it's hard because the SEC is just so.
I've got Lagway winning the Heisman.
Okay.
But I don't think Lagway can pull his whole team to an SEC championship.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I definitely, we're just gonna have to see how the season goes because it is probably one of the toughest seasons we've seen in a while. And also, it's just like, I feel like I want to watch college football more than I care to watch the NFL. Like, there is something that is just way more entertaining, in my opinion, with college football. And I don't even have like an NFL team that I'm, a diehard fan for.
I've always been that way as well. When I talk, people always I'm like, oh yeah, I love football. And they're like, okay, well, who's your NFL team? Don't necessarily have one. Especially with my family being from Alabama, there is no NFL team in Alabama. So you either like the Falcons or the Saints. For some reason, my dad liked the Packers growing up. Don't know where that came from, but we were never raised on NFL football. We were always raised on college football. And my argument was always it's more entertaining, and it is more entertaining.
I'm a bandwagon fan when it comes to the NFL. Like, I wait until the playoffs to be like, oh, I'm going to pick that team. And
I pick my favorite Alabama. It used to be I cheered for whoever had an Alabama player on the team. Now all of them do. And so I just have to pick my favorites. So that's a little bit hard. I'm very excited to be a Seahawks fan this season for Jalen Milroe. I've never been a Seahawks fan, but now I am. So there we go.
Yeah, I think we just are coming up on like such a good season of football all around. I'm excited to see this last draft class in the NFL. That I do look forward to watching the NFL for that reason. But there's just something so entertaining and so nostalgic in a way when you're watching college football and watching these young fans, young men that are playing on the field that you're like, oh, I'm watching them in their early days and they possibly are going to be like the greatest of all time in their professional career. And that's so cool to be able to watch them from their early career. And so I'm excited. I think it's going to be just such an amazing season. I'm liking the polls so far. A little bit, you know, I, it's a little SEC heavy, and here on the Sassy Stuff Show, we like to see that. We're a little biased when it comes to this, but I think it's going to be an SEC team will win the national championship this year. I'm going to stand by that. I can't tell you which one it's going to be.
You know what I'm impressed with though? I'm impressed with Oklahoma being ranked 18.
Lord help them. Lord help them. Listen,
I,
those
I just
Oklahoma
keep
fans.
going through, and there's just things that I like would have made a little bit differently. Like to me, Ole Miss definitely would have been ranked above Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, also speaking of Oklahoma, their quarterback with the Venmo, poor guy. Poor guy. I'm so glad nobody's looking through my Venmo requests and my Venmo payments
Well,
because
Arch Manning declined somebody's Venmo request this
I
week.
saw how rude. You've got the money, dude.
I mean, how rude of somebody to just ask somebody else for money though. Like, oh, you have money, give it to me. Um,
That's how I vibe.
You know what, Georgia? You know what, guys? Drop in the comments what you think is going to happen in this next season. We're going to have to catch you later, but make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and who knows, maybe we'll come out with our own ranking, the Sassy Stuff Show ranking of the year. You never know. New day, new time, guys. We'll see you guys next time.